welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Our guest is Abhijit Iyer-Mitra in Ask Abhijit. Abhijit, namaskaram and welcome to PGurus channel.
Well, thanks for having me around.
Well, Vitri, Veera, Abhijit, we are going to jump right into the thing. All right, we'll jump into questions. Satyam Datta, Abhijit, is it true that you believe that JF-17 is better than Tejas Mk1A? 1 or 2 minutes maximum, please.
Currently, yes, it is. It's a more mature design. It's been operational for longer. There is such a thing as operational maturity. And of course, there are a whole load of issues with the Tejas's inherent design and things like that. Designed for a different age, different circumstances. You can't miniaturize to that level, so on and so forth. The JF-17 is a more basic fighter, but it's much cheaper. You can throw it into combat in much larger numbers and things like that. So yes, as of now, I would say the JF-17 is a superior plane. If and when the Tejas becomes a superior plane, I'll let you know about it.
Anubhav Kumar wants to know, which fighter jet should India go in for the upcoming 114 fighter jet deal? He is giving you options: Rafale, F-16, F-15EX, Su-35 and F-21 Griffin.
Choose either between the F-16 or the Gripen. Why? Because you need large numbers of a single engine jet. If you don't want that, that's perfectly fine. Go in for the Tejas, but for God's sake, at least produce some 500-600 Tejas. Okay, at least when you purchase 500-600 Tejas, you may end up creating a actual fighter that actually works, rather than some affirmative action throwaway order. Okay, so no more double engine fighters, no more Rafale, no more F-18, absolutely no F-15. I don't know which idiot brought about this F-15 proposal. The F-15 is the direct equivalent of the Sukhoi 30. You can't have the F-15 and the Sukhoi 30 in the same Air Force. So absolutely no Boeing. Okay, no F-35. You don't have the capability to absorb the F-35. Okay, at best, the lowest technology, the lowest price things in this are the Gripen and the F-16. If you don't want it, perfectly okay, but just focus down. You desperately need numbers. You need 500-600 single engine fighters. You don't want F-16, fine, screw the F-16. You don't want the Gripen, fine, screw the Gripen. But then place the bloody order for 500-600 Tejas today, now.
Saswat wants to know, Abhijit, please explain the problems in LCA. I think he means the Tejas.
First, it's too late. Okay, it's just too damn late. Second, it's too compact. Its physical dimensions are too small. Even the Japanese, when they went in for their 4th generation fighter, the F-2, which was based on the F-16, they actually, because they couldn't do the kind of miniaturization the Americans did, they actually made it 25% bigger. Even though outside it looks like an F-16, the Japanese F-2 is actually 25% bigger than the Americans, than the American F-16. Now, if everybody else is making their planes slightly bigger, if they can't do the miniaturization, for a country like ours to make it smaller when you don't have that military industrial complex, how does it work, boss? The third is fundamental design flaws. Okay. The belief that the small size would kind of compensate with the extra control surfaces required and things like that. That, of course, is a subjective criticism, right? That isn't this thing. I know for a fact that a lot of Western designers have told me that's a fundamental flaw in design. Though, with computer correction software, you can correct it. But still, that's one of the flaws. But the most critical aspect of it has been you don't have the military industrial complex for a 4th generation fighter, leave alone a 5th generation fighter. There is a mismatch between what you want and what you have in that fighter.
Tidnap wants to know, how is it that the DRDO cannot miniaturize and create modern platforms Yet the ISRO is able to make rockets and satellites with the same education. I ask because you said that it is anthropologically impossible to create our own jet engine and fighter airplane.
Good question. So several things. One is ISRO comes the nuclear program. Remember, every program has a civilian aspect and a defense aspect to it. Every commercially viable program. It is the commercial viability of Antrix, which is the civilian arm, that has in many ways also driven the perfection of the military arm. The military arm, because it is primarily aimed at nuclear delivery, comes directly under the Prime Minister. So it's had better supervision, number one. Two, there's been a much more focused drive towards what technologies to get. Third is that it's been a much more focused program. हम बस space और rockets पे concentrate करेंगे. We are not going to focus on sea buckthorn drinks and high altitude meal packets and everything under the sun, from tanks to missiles to everything else. So focus, management, supervision, all of these have yielded to ISRO. Also remember, in space technology, the miniaturization needs are a lot less for civilian technology than they are for military technology, right? Military technology is much, much, much more compacting and ruggedized, because a military vehicle will have to take, it's the same difference between a car and a tank. A car, you only have to have a NCAP 5 rating that when a truck hits you from the side, it doesn't kill the baby in the back seat. A tank, you have to take a shell, an explosive shell of about 5 to 7 kilos worth of explosives hitting you from the side, and nothing should happen on the inside. So the ruggedization and the miniaturization requirements are very, very different in civilian. The civilian helps, which is why all countries with a successful ballistic missile program also have a successful space program. They are conjoined, they are similar, not the same. And remember, even in the DRDO, the only programs that are unqualified successes is the ballistic missile program. Okay, why? Again, prime ministerial supervision directly from the PMO, always been better managed than all the other programs, because it has always been deemed strategic. They audit and account those programs because it has to report directly to the PM, traditionally, for a very long time.
The next question is from Vishant Nayak. Dear Abhijit, I know your opinion on Tejas. I still have 3 questions. First, is Tejas Mark 1A better than Mirage 2000? Will be effective?
One sec, one at a time.
Yeah.
One at a time. Then Mirage 2000, as of now, no. Maybe 10-15 years into product maturity, could it become better with canard wings and things like that? Maybe yes, maybe. Let's see.
Next question, will it be effective against China, knowing stealth features of Chinese aircraft?
No, emphatically not.
Third one, will Tejas Mark II with powerful GE414 will be rolled out in time?
I don't know what in time is, but just to add, because 2 and 3 are kind of linked, what do you need against a stealth fighter? See, stealth is a whole complex compound of issues. It's not just radar masking. It's also heat masking, restricting your emissions and things like that. What the Chinese have done is they've produced 2 aircraft at least, which have radar masking in the L band, maybe to some extent even in the X band of radar. But it's not visually masked. It isn't emissions masked. Chinese emissions are electronic emissions are highly detectable. And in any good 5th generation Western fighter or even 4th generation Western fighter, the radar warning receiver has twice the range of the radar. As in, the radar warning system can pick up an enemy painting you from double the distance that the radar can actually paint another radar. So it's the Tejas, because of its small size, has very limited growth available to it. One of the main anti-stealth features that you're looking at, which only the 4th generation of Western planes introduced, is the infrared search, track and search. That ball kind of thing in front of the cockpit of the aircraft, and the F-35 has three-dimensional, 360-degree heat detection. It's called the distributive aperture subsystem, and it's a next level. So the Americans never actually went in for the IRST; they went in for synthetic heat detection, 360 degrees all over, and as usual with America, that is why America is the most powerful country on earth. They're late to adopt technology, but when they adopt it, they just go way ahead of everybody else. I think we spoke about this, didn't we, Shri? Where during testing in Maryland, which is close to DC. DC
Yes,
is
yes.
kind of
Next
close
county.
in
Yeah,
Maryland.
yeah.
They could detect a missile launch from 1,500, kilometers away
Wow.
in Florida. Okay. Imagine the kind of detection, just visual detection. You're going from radar, which is a black science, to Star Trek like, visual detection technologies that they're able to bring. So there's several reasons, and that is the main anti-stealth function that you have in the F-35. Other than, of course, its ability to receive electronic data and things like that, and mask itself and counter all of that. So no, I don't think the LCA is ever going to really be a good anti-stealth fighter, as I can see. And IRST will help it go some part of the way, but not entirely. So no.
Interesting. And with that, we call an end to today's hangout on Ask Abhijit. Abhijit, you have been most cooperative, completely focused on this one. So thank you so much for this. Please subscribe to YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
Well, Vetrivel.